This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. Mad ex-girlfriend stole an SUV belonging to her ex's current girlfriend and drove the vehicle into his house. She's sending a message here. I wonder what it could be. I'm looking at an image of the SUV, and it's all the way in there. Lady, that's not the garage, but I guess it is now. Anyway, an Oklahoma woman landed behind bars after allegedly driving a stolen SUV into her ex-boyfriend's house. Yeah, see, she wasn't going to use her own. Hell no. Annabelle Torres, because, she's going to need that to get to work. Well, she ain't going, anyway. Annabelle Torres, 24, was arrested by the Tulsa Police Department after she allegedly stole an SUV belonging to her ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend and intentionally drove it into his house. Well, how do we know? It could have been an accident, and maybe she accidentally stole the car. Maybe she has an SUV that looks just like it. Come on. Mere coincidence, Police said the couple and the woman's 2 children were inside the house at the time, but did not specify whether anyone was harmed. Well, that's kind of important, isn't it? Jeez. And the woman's 2 children. So I'm guessing the current girlfriend, that's her kids in the house. Anyway, in a post on Facebook, police described Torres as mad. Yeah, in more way than one. So she was mad when she went to her former boyfriend's home and began acting erratically. Tulsa police said officers responded to a call of trouble unknown at the home at 5:39 a.m. Police said that when the officers arrived, they heard people screaming from inside the house and saw a vehicle driven directly through the front of the residence. Now, you see, people are calling about this. What's to be unknown about that, You think that would be the first thing you would do. The police show up, rammed into it. Yeah, he said, 911, what's your emergency? Somebody just drove a car into this house. You think that would be the first thing. But apparently not. They said, there's trouble, and it's unknown. Huh. All right. Well, before the crash, police determined that the man who lived at the home used to be Torres's boyfriend. The night before, his current girlfriend and her 2 young children came to the house to visit. At some point, Torres, the man's mad ex-girlfriend, showed up at the house and began acting erratically. She then, allegedly, got hold of the new girlfriend's keys without permission, I would think so, and got into the red SUV. Police said Torres rammed into 2 parked cars before, wonder if one of them was her own, before driving through the front of her ex-boyfriend's house. When police arrived, officers heard Torres say she intended to drive over anyone there. Uh-oh. When officers tried to arrest her, she apparently wasn't happy about it and fought with the officers a little bit. Yeah, you're pretty tough without your SUV, are you? Or not so tough, whatever. Torres was charged with assault with a deadly weapon. That would be the SUV. Assault and battery on a police officer. Malicious mischief. Well, that's one way to put it. Larceny of an automobile and resisting arrest. Because she is a member of the Muskogee Nation, Torres's case will be turned over to the FBI and tribal authorities for the remainder of the investigation. She is currently in custody at the Tulsa County Jail. Well, man. So, pretty upset. apparently not over the boyfriend, and the new girlfriend says, "Hey, I'm gonna go visit, with the kids and all that." And now he's got a hole in the wall. Jeez, boy, there is a price to pay. And oh boy, is he gonna pay it? Yeah. And he'll always have something to remember her by, depending on how long he stays at that residence, And whatever repair they do, that was, what was her name? Annabelle or Angela? I can't even remember already. I think I wouldn't. Annabelle. Yeah, Annabelle. So, that's Annabelle's wall. Yeah. I wanted to move on. It didn't work out. And I met someone new and all this sort of stuff. You'll not forget me. But the important thing is, relationships, when they go south, it hurts. It's gonna sting for a while, and you got to move on, because the really important label here is ex-boyfriend. He's not your boyfriend anymore. He used to be, but gee, for some reason he felt, I don't think this is going to work. I can't imagine what it could have been, but looks like he was right about her, Well, anyway, I guess, the real more disturbing thing is they didn't specify, was anyone actually hurt when she plowed in through the wall and saying, "Hey, I want to run over everybody in here," that kind of thing. I mean, there was 2 kids in there, they're just like, I don't know, we'll figure that out later. Okay. But anyway, there you go. Love hurts. It does. And sometimes it drives a car through the wall of your house. Yeah. And your heart. Oh, yeah, what are you going to do? Oh, well.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin.
All right. We can finally begin the actual show. Yeah. It was the girlfriend's car, the new girlfriend. Yes, it was the new girlfriend's car. And I don't know. That's just how that worked out. Well, you got to have that on. I'm hearing more of an echo on my voice here. I don't know. All right. Well, let me go ahead and get to the photo shop. Here we are. And we'll begin with our power couple. Ethan and Scarlett. Yeah, the power couple of the Dabbleverse. I mean, I'm sure there's other contenders. Anyway, Annabelle, isn't that the possessed doll bad name? Yes, so, I don't know. It seems like a really simple and innocent name, but maybe not. So anyway, was drawing this while at work, in between having to do stuff. And I'm not entirely certain why I zeroed in on them. But it did, they showed up at Hackamania in Vegas. I didn't run into them because I was otherwise occupied. And so all that happened right there at the plaza. Yeah. But I don't know. It seems like not a whole lot. And then they wanted to get married, or said they were gonna get married in Vegas. But then Ethan doesn't know if his divorce from his previous wife was finalized. Something like that. I don't know. Was apparently trying to call his former father-in-law, which if the marriage isn't actually over, then he's still the father-in-law, But I guess he couldn't reach the guy or something. Who the hell knows? Or maybe he just says that for an excuse, But whatever. I don't know. So they were there, and saw some people took some pictures of them at the what is it, the carousel bar that sits out in front, spins around or whatever. I never bothered with it. Because I don't drink. No. Oh, I don't. Of course, I don't know what else. Maybe they served some good stuff there. Maybe I don't know. Do they serve food? See, I should have looked. I should have asked. And I was there. Why didn't I do it? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was otherwise occupied. So anyway, I don't even know what shirt he was wearing or her and all that. So I'm just going to make it up. It's a reasonable facsimile thereof. There it is. Okay. Got to clean up. But is this one, I didn't do any ink over it. This is all pencil. So, geez, what the hell happened here? There we go. Huh. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what the thinking was when I drew this. I mean, I was there. I did it. Oh yeah, that's still the neckline. We gotta do that. So, I've done. This will probably be the third one I've done of the two of them, and I don't know. I think Pat said they might become the Sid and Nancy of the of the Dabbleverse. Yeah, who knows? Maybe. But there is an almost iconic aesthetic to the two of them, you know. As this thing go along, but it's, you know, fodder for the art, and that's all that really matters. At least, you know, from my vantage point, being the guy who draws pictures. So, hey, you know, it stands to reason. I don't know. I guess that should be there. But anyway, so drew that, drew some other pictures, and then as I was going through them to scan them in, I found a few others that I'd forgotten about. I did do my Penny and the Dork portrait. I got to send that to them. I want to look it over again. I might not have the time to do that properly because I got to dive off to bed so I can be all rested to go back to work tonight. So that's how that goes. There we are. So I don't know if she was wearing a black skirt or not, but I thought, black skirt. And so here it is. Yeah. It's just that simple. And here we'll ever so carefully around the booty. There we go. I don't know what the hell that. Oh, there's Ethan's hand. I probably drew his hands way too big. But, you know, it's artist interpretation. You know, he's got to hold on to her. She feels lost and without, and so she clings to him desperately, and he tries to provide a hand of comfort. But is there comfort? Time will tell. So, all right, that should do it for that. Might want to strengthen this up a bit. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and kind of go over all this. I did see one picture where it was kind of from this angle, you know, where the brim of the hat was over his head, and so I thought, yeah, all right, that'll work. And I guess it does. Yeah. Yep. All right, let's just go ahead and put the color to this. So I did have several other images, but I always forget that, boy, this stuff takes a while. And so I might not be able to get to those because I really only have an hour to spend on this endeavor. Yeah. And so it's unfortunate. I don't get to do long live streams. I mean, first of all, I probably really can't. I mean, after a while, if I tried. It's been a while since I think the longest I did on my own was, I think it was 4 hours. And then a couple of them that was like 3. But, you know, that's kind of the max. Other people, I mean, they're doing 8 hours or whatever, and sometimes longer. That's insane, you know, but I don't think I'd be able to. I mean, I can't sit in this chair that long without causing all kinds of pain. So, and I've never been a fan of pain. No. I hear tell there are people who are fans of it, and I don't care to associate with that. You know, I don't need to know about any of that. So anyway, I do have a new episode of the Mr Nailsin Show. It should be posted shortly on radiomisfits.com, which you can go there or you can go wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Amazon, get them there. I'll be there. And I don't know, what's some of the others, I forget. But probably there too, So this latest one, it has 2 Nailsin news stories. I need to get back into the perhaps but maybe not stories. But anyway, and there's some I did videos for, but this will be the audio. And one's about, because I took the title from one of them and said, hey, that makes a good title for the show. So the title of the particular episode is Porta Potty Rendezvous, because it features this coming together of 2 lovers, and they got it on inside a porta potty. Now, I think the porta potty was rather fresh and new, so maybe it wasn't as disgusting as one might think. It was just, well, they needed some privacy and that was available. So that's where they went and, shook it up pretty good. Problem is, though, one of them, the girl, was a former inmate, and the man, it was a current inmate, and they were getting together and at the correctional facility grounds where they were having some sort of barbecue to raise money for the jail or something like that. And the inmate was a trustee. He was, I guess, working the barbecue or something, and met up with the girlfriend. And at the moment she was still a newly freed woman. But this was their chance to, get to know each other even more. And so they did, in the confines of the porta potty. So, oh boy, it's quite the adventure. So you're not going to miss out on that. What was the other one? Oh, the other one was, boy, I didn't realize how long it was. Then when I put it in there, I was like, oh wow, this was, because more typically there's like 3 of Nailsin news in the Nailsin Show, unless like I have a perhaps but maybe not segment, stuff like that. And so anyway, the second story was this woman that reconciled with her boyfriend. So they had broken up and then apparently got back together. And to celebrate their getting back together, apparently decided to plot a murder. So there was this guy whom I guess was interested in the girl and must have busted a move on her at some point. Well, the boyfriend didn't like that, so he had decided he wanted to kill this man. So he got his girlfriend to be the honey trap, So she lures him out to say, hey, let's get together and smoke weed. So he's like, oh, yeah. So he ends up meeting her, and they're sitting in his car. I guess they smoked weed. I don't know if they ever got around to it. But anyway, all of a sudden, this other vehicle shows up. And, the new guy recognized it as her boyfriend's vehicle. He had had some run-ins with him, mostly online. The guy had told him that, he's mad at him and he's going to F him up and all that sort of stuff. So when he sees him out there, he's like, wait a minute. This don't seem right. And sure enough, the guy hops out of the, what was it, a truck, I guess? I can't remember. and opens fire. So I'll know what happened next. Well, you'll have to tune in to the Nailsin Show to see how that went. But I mean, it's a strange way, it's like the old song, reunited, and it feels so good and all that type of stuff. And it's like, whatever it was you were fighting over, it seems so silly and petty. And now you can't get enough of each other and all that. And oh boy, it's just the best ever. And but in these two, they said, you know what would really get our relationship back on track or whatever, is if we kill some guy who just had a passing interest in the girl here. I mean, basically the simple thing is, well, I'm seeing somebody, so good luck finding someone else. And that's usually all you got to do. But in this case, the boyfriend said, no, I want to kill him. And the girlfriend's, well, all right then. Yeah. Apparently. Allegedly. So, strange, I would think. Yeah. But, well, that's that's what they did. So, and, well, there's more to it, of course. But, again, you'll have to tune in. So, the main feature, of course, is one of my audio plays, which was an episode of Night Night, which by a staggering coincidence also happens to be the title of my comic book. Night Night, yeah, over at indieplanet.com. You head over there and you order yourself a copy of Night Night, which of course is based on the audio play of the same name. So, pretty much it's the same stories as the audio plays. But I've only managed to do 3 of them. Boy, there's a ton of those stories. Will I be able to adapt them all into a comic book? Well, provided I live long enough. Sure. We'll have to wait and see on that. But anyway, I mean, if by some chance you actually have been keeping up with the show, done quite the long series this time, and it crossed over with the Sun King story. Now, Night Night, of course, is a Batman parody character, or at least started out that way, Somehow it all takes a life of its own. But so Sun King is the Superman parody. And so I was crossing them over with each other, because ultimately they were pursuing the same villain here, interdimensional character known as the Bewitcher. He's all satanic and stuff like that. But he was trying to invade the real world from his universe, whatever, and they had to prevent that, and blah, blah, blah. But it took forever. And the thing of it is, I was doing a bit of a parody on the stuff the superhero comics do, where they'll have events. So basically, events would be a special series that they would set aside, and all the titles that they publish would cross over. So, like for Marvel, it's like the X-Men and the Avengers team up because, well, they ran into a common enemy or whatever. And same thing with DC. Batman and Superman's got a team up. The Justice League gets in there, all that stuff. And, oh boy, it's going to take just about every damn superhero they've got in their little comic book universe. And so there was quite a few that were like this over the years. It goes all the way back to the 80s is when they really started this stuff. And Marvel pretty much started it with the series called Secret Wars, where a good bit of their characters got abducted by a super powerful alien who just wanted to see them fight supervillains. It's a little more complex than that overall, but nevertheless, that's basically the plot. And they did a sequel to that one a couple of years after that. DC did one called Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was a bit more ambitious in the sense that it rewrote their entire continuity for their comic book line and that sort of thing. So at the time, and I guess even by comparison, it was a big deal for what they were producing and what they've tried to do since. I've never really thought it measured up. But anyway, so there you go. And they sold well, and it was interesting and all that. But it was rather rare. And there was others after that, Infinity War and stuff like that would happen. DC would do 0 Hour, something else, I forget. Legends and the Invasion story. Actually, now that I think about it, they probably started doing a lot more than Marvel did. Whereas now Marvel, primarily both of them, do way too many. It's like every 5 minutes there's another big crossover event. And it's like, well, why bother deal with the story for the current one you've got out there when it's not going to mean anything, as it ultimately becomes the setup for the next one. Meanwhile, the individual titles can't even breathe, and you've got these different art teams on them. How are they supposed to put together a compelling narrative for the character they're actually working on when you've got all this other conflicting crap getting in the way? Well, the answer is they can. Most of them suffer pretty bad. Every now and then there's a couple of these writers who figure out how to craft it well enough, but there's only so much you can do. And it ends up hurting the titles. Because you got this story that you crafted and you're working on it. Now all of a sudden you got to put that to a side because, your super guy's got to go into outer space and face some evil bastard who's up to no good and all that. And, the whole story that you were putting together is just going to have to wait. Like that'll work out. And so it was just one thing after another, but I guess the gimmick, kept working enough to where they didn't know what else to do, and they just enough people would fall for it to keep buying this crap. I don't think I need to do that. Let's get back on there. So, and then a lot of them. Well, what about the stories themselves? Justify any of this? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. Jeez, I didn't think, this thing was freezing up, and all of a sudden I got a screen full of Ethan. So, for the most part, no. Really didn't do anything. And, which is unfortunate. Because most of the stories just, they really didn't go anywhere. And it was mostly just them standing around and talking. Man, this really sucks. Yeah, it does. We're probably all going to die. No, not this time. And, and after a while, it's like, I'm beginning to think I don't care about this anymore. And, and that's probably because, you don't. And so, in a way, this war with the Bewitcher story that I did with Night Knight and Sun King and all the other superhero characters they run into, stuff like that. And then I crossed it over with other audio play characters that I also feature, just, it's a surprise, stuff like that. But ultimately all they do is sit around and talk to each other about stuff. And then, we got to fix this. And then they'll have a fight and then it's over before it begins. And the Sun King story is running 15 episodes, whereas Night Knight will run 12. And the Sun King part of it is already over. And so this This is like the penultimate episode for Night Night, which is just him coming home after the whole story's over. And then the next one, it'll be pretty much the wrap up for Night Night. Now, the reason I picked 15 and 12 is because those tended to be the standard. Which one is? Yeah, that one. Chapter length for old movie serials. And I just always, it's a good number. So it's either 15 for when it's really long or, 12. So I figured, yeah, good enough. I'm sure there were some that were shorter. I don't think any of them went longer than 15. Maybe there was one or two and I'm just blanking on it. But the 15 chapters was typically the max. So anyway, that's the equation of it all, I suppose. One could actually infer that was indeed the thinking. Yes. So, yeah, that's the Night story. But it's one of those where, oh no, the whole universe is at risk or something like that. But Night's just some guy in a stupid outfit. At least Sun King has superpowers, and it seems like that would be more stuff that he would deal with. But there's a whole backstory to it. The thing about Sun King and Night, so there's supposed to be these parodies of Superman and Batman. So, but the approach to how they looked and everything was, I borrowed from knockoff characters that Marvel made that were knockoffs of the DC characters of Superman and Batman and so forth. And they had this group called the Squadron Supreme. And so I took from that. As far as more or less of the look initially. In the end, Sun King actually looks more like a forgotten superhero I borrowed from, or stole rather, called Atoman. So it's Atom Man. See, but they just decided to use the M at the end. So he's Atoman. So I was like, Atoman? It's really stupid. But I don't know, that's what they did. And so I borrowed the look of the outfit, almost top to bottom. I changed up a few things here and there. But that became the inspiration for him. But he was more or less in the position that the Hyperion character from the Marvel Squadron Supreme, which is, again, this parody of, or knockoff rather, of the Justice League. So that was his deal. For Night. Well, they had their Batman character called Nighthawk, and he had an outfit. For the most part, sometimes he'd change it up, but for the most part, he had this outfit that was, very dark blue, if not black, with a red cape that resembled bird wings, and his mask was yellow and stuff like that, and he had his insignia was yellow. So I took the color scheme of that for the most part, and developed the look of Night. And then looked to other characters. There was an old forgotten hero from the early days of comics called the Owl, and some of the insignia or shape or whatever the design it was supposed to look like an owl's brow or whatever. And took some of that, but added in the crescent moon shapes to it, stuff like that. And so basically it's more of the Night becomes a knockoff of a knockoff of a knockoff. For the Wonder Woman character, that ultimately became Moon Mage. And there was an old forgotten character called Moon Girl. So I kind of took from the design of her suit for the Moon Woman character. I mean, for the Wonder Woman, she pretty much holds the place that Wonder Woman would in there. And so, that's how that works for inspiration for the looks. But it's all a parody of superhero comics. So, I don't know, I thought it made some amount of sense to actually make use of the stylings and the imagery of those, entities, I suppose. And so that's what I did. Oh, yeah. All right. All right. Seems like there would have been more to this than I thought, but no, I think that'll do it. Maybe some sort of pastiness here and there. Maybe there. It's all very scratchy and stuff because of the pencil. And can't really clean it all up. But then we can just, hey, maybe Ethan's shirt was dirty. It could be. It's a possibility. I don't know. All right. Now, if I want to isolate this, let's see. Might have to touch up his hair here. We'll do like that. Okay. Let's see what happens here. All right, it held. Okay. Okay. There we go. So at some point, you could put a background for them. Yay. Yay. Yes. All right. There we go. Power couple of the Dabbleverse. See? It's all fantastic. Alexander says, a bar that spins, I would throw. Yeah, well, that's what they did. What a crappy place to meet. Well, couples who share interests are more likely to last. Yeah, I guess so, Ethan and Scarlett get together at a spinning bar. And, the woman who reconciled with her boyfriend plots murder with her boyfriend, and it brought them together somehow. And I guess that's how they, that's just how they do it. So, I mean, it's none of my business, except for the murder part. It does become, for the law and everything. All right, so here's one that was some studies of Stuttering John. I don't know. This needs work. Because I was looking at different expressions he made and looked like he was like, huh? All shocked about something. I don't know. We don't need this. So it looks like, oh, I changed his nose is what I did. The hell? Oh, yeah. That's what happened here. So we'll just get rid of all that. We'll fix this. There we go. And we don't need that there. None of this. Yeah. See, if plastic surgery was as simple as Photoshop, everybody would do it. Alright, but still a lot of work needs to be done. I mean, it could just go over it with a color overlay thing, and guess it would be alright. I don't know. But anyway, that's just a study. This one, where he's just all bored and kind of irritated. It's not, I don't know, I tend to like this one. Add a little to that. Still, the hair over here is probably better than usual. And I don't guess it really matters all that much, but that's it there. Something like that. Could pull supply. Do it like this. Yeah. And then, whoops. Let's take all this out. We don't need that there. And, whoops. All right. And it's supposed to be steel toe, but I don't know what I put. This is more akin to Kevin's headset for his headphones. But it's not that great of a steel toe. And then there's Kevin. But I think the John was probably the best. Oh yeah, this was that show where Ava was trying to explain that $2 Dan is just as bad as the people who screw with John, because $2 Dan is screwed with this. I don't know, what was his name? Patrick Tomlinson. He was a sci-fi writer or whatever. And him and a bunch of people, I don't know, just really went at him because he had opined in Opie and Anthony sort of pest forum, and just decided to say he didn't think Norm Macdonald was funny. Well, they weren't going to let him get away with that, so apparently they got really wild and involved, although Dan says, well, I didn't do the crazy stuff or whatever. But anyway, because for the moment anyway, Stuttering John likes Dan, he just couldn't see Ava's point. I just didn't want to, so. There we go. I think he probably had a black hat on and all that. Maybe we'll give him a dark hoodie, but not necessarily black. So something like that. That'll work. John. So this is probably closer, somewhat, to the state of affairs with his hair these days. Whoops. All right. And of course, Ava. Is that all? No, it's not. I'm gonna have to fix this. And then I guess that might work. Oops, wrong one. There we go. That. Whoops. That. We'll connect it here. And here. Whoops. Gotta connect it there too. Yeah. Now that. Damn. Oh God. Oh, there it is. There's. See, it's like a puzzle almost. You gotta find where there we go. See? Now everything works. Now it's where it's supposed to be, I guess. I don't know, that might become something. What's this? Oh, that's Ethan, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is supposed to be Opie and Ron, because Ron's always showing his nose into the camera. It might be something, I don't know. There's Melton and Moody, like Batman and Robin. I don't know. Might be able to make that work. Wait, did it do? I don't think it. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. We could do. There we go. Stuttering John needs to deflate a little. There we go. All right. Oops. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. All right. Looks good. Looks like a Ring doorbell shot with the nose guy. Yeah, well, he shoves his face into the camera all the time. I guess it's just his thing to do. So he'll leap forward, and his nose just... I'm surprised it doesn't, like, just poke right through the camera, you know. And maybe it has a time or two. And, well, I guess the camera's made of tough stuff. Or he's gone through a couple of cameras, you know. But, I guess for the most part, he's the current co-host for Opie. And that's what the show consists of. It's Opie and Ron. He's had other regular people appear on his show, but Ron seems to be the one that stays, you know. So I guess he wins the title for Opie's co-host. So, wait a minute. What did I just do? I grabbed green? Here's not green. But yeah, he really shoves the nose into the camera. It's a strange position. I'm not sure why it's like that. To me, it's his camera. He can do how he wants it, but it does seem, you know, a little odd. And I don't remember what color the shirt was. Okay, that's Ron. And of course, Opie always looks to be in sheer agony about everything. Which, I guess he is. I don't know. But the thing about Opie, despite the career he once had, when it comes to Devilverse characters, he's probably the least interesting of them. I mean, you know, it's tough to beat the... although he does come close to beating the stupidity of Stuttering John. But I mean, who the hell's going to beat, you know, Steel Toe's story? I mean, what a wild, weird set of events that was. Carmick's personality for a while kind of held him in the spotlight for a good bit. But Opie, it's just him whining. And then after a while, it's like, well, yeah, that's enough. But, you know, some of the shows check in on him, see how that's going. And, well, that's pretty much it. It's him and Ron. Yeah. Now this was supposed to be Chad Zumach, but yeah, I'm not particularly happy with it. Done some better ones. And it's funny because when I've done one that's pretty good for any of these people, it kind of just reuse that. But one of the clippers had something. Was it pissed or I can't remember. Something about him like doing detective work on some guy who was being a local tattletale about people frequenting a prostitute's house or something like that. And Chad was moralizing like somebody who doxes people or reveals them and all that. Well, he thought that was just a terrible thing to do. And, he thought you should know. But I quickly lost interest, so I don't know. I might make an okay image. It doesn't really work that way because I have to kind of move Opie over and put him in his little screen and then Ron in his, but just with that nose coming through the screen, you know. Well, whatever. I think our big winner is once again our power couple, Ethan and Scarlett. Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, I got my hour in, colored some drawings. Gee, I hope that was every bit as thrilling as it was supposed to be. John the Beagle Dad says, hello, Doug. Well, hello, John. And Alexander says, hi, John, too. See, everybody said hi on this, what is this? Oh, Saturday morning. Yeah. So that's about it. So now I got to get ready to go back into Sleepy Land to be all rested up for work at the gas station. Yeah. But such is life, you know. So there you go. You're all caught up on this one. I'll figure up some kind of background. Maybe I'll just put the carousel bar behind Ethan and Scarlett. I don't know. But I don't know. It turned out okay, I guess. So there you go. That's the deal. That's the that's the show. Yeah, so check out the podcast. That'll be on later. I think I already have a new Nailsin ratings video, I think talking about Moon Knight or something like that. So there's that to look at. And then, I'll visit with you again at some point. There will be a Sunday Comics because I've already taped it. So see, that's how you make damn sure it's ready to go, which it is. So there you go. You'll get that. And of course it features the return of Blue Beetle. So at least there's that. So see, you got something to look forward to. All right. Thanks for watching. And we'll do it again sometime soon. No, that's not it. There's the... Well, I guess it is. Damn it. Where was I? Just had it. There it is. All right. Why doesn't it show up though? I gotta. Oh, that's why. There we go. All right. Now I really mean it. Yeah.
This is the end. This is the end, my friend. It hurts to set you free, but you'll never follow me because this is the end. This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my friend. It hurts to set you free, but you'll never follow me because this is the This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end.
Screw Amex. Lockdowns, am I right? Daddy's always right.
Shut up, shut up, shut up!
Screw Amex. Lockdowns.